Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to talk about something we all do every single day, usually without even thinking about it. Language. We're pulling back the curtain on its hidden blueprint, the actual architecture behind how we communicate. So let's dive in and see how it all works. I mean, really, have you ever just stopped to think about the hidden rules behind the words you're using? Every time you talk, or write, or even send a text, you're navigating this incredibly complex system, and you do it on autopilot. These are rules you learned so long ago, you probably don't even remember the process, but they're there, always working in the background. So that's what this explainer is all about. We're going on a little journey together to uncover that very architecture. We're not just going to look at words, nope, we're digging deeper into the very framework that gives those words their power and their meaning. Okay, so where do we even begin with something this big? Well, the very first step is just getting our bearings. You know, it's like when you visit a new city, the first thing you want is a map, right? It's exactly the same with language. We need a clear picture of its fundamental structures. So it all starts with a high-level overview. Before we get into all the nitty-gritty details, we have to zoom out and just see the whole landscape. For instance, in English, we instinctively say, "The dog chased the ball." We would never say, "Ball the chased dog," right? It just sounds completely wrong. Well, that simple subject-verb-object order, that's a fundamental structure. We're just looking at the whole forest first. And this is such a great way to think about it. Language structure is really just a blueprint. Imagine a pile of bricks, some wood, and a box of nails. By themselves, it's just a mess. But with a blueprint, with a set of rules, those raw materials suddenly become a house. And that subject-verb-object rule we just mentioned, that's like a load-bearing wall in our house of language. It's absolutely essential. So the initial goal here is broken down into two simple steps. First up, step one, see the blueprint. Just get that big picture overview of the rules. And then step two is all about the process. How do we actually learn these things? And more importantly, how do we use them every single day without even thinking about it? Okay, so we've got the map, we've seen the blueprint, now let's get practical. Because knowing the rules is one thing, but the next step is understanding how they're actually used in the real world. After all, we don't communicate in a vacuum. And this brings us to what are called the common factors in using a language. Now, this is where it gets really fascinating. You know, it's not just about what the rules are, but why we apply them differently in all sorts of situations. It really all comes down to context. Let's make this personal for a second. Think about your own life. Do you speak to your boss the exact same way you speak to your best friend? Or do you write a formal report the same way you'd fire off a quick text? Of course not. The context, the audience, and what you're trying to accomplish are all factors that influence the choices you make. And all of this leads us to the ultimate goal of the process, which is honestly more profound than you might expect. See, the point isn't just to memorize a bunch of rules. It's to achieve a much, much deeper kind of insight. And the whole thing really boils down to two key words: appreciate and understand. See, understanding is about knowing the facts, but appreciation, well, that's about seeing the value, the elegance, and the incredible power of the whole system. It's a complete shift in perspective. This slide really illustrates the difference perfectly. Knowing the structures is just recognizing the rules. That's the what. But appreciating them, that's about grasping their purpose. It's about seeing the why and the how and realizing just how beautifully all the parts work together. All right, so let's wrap this up. Why does understanding this hidden blueprint even matter? What's the real takeaway from all this? Well, to put it simply, when you understand the structure, you become a better builder. This knowledge provides an incredibly powerful foundation. It moves you from being just an unconscious user of language to a conscious and much more effective communicator, someone who can make deliberate choices to express their ideas with real clarity and impact. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. You've just had a little glimpse of the invisible architecture that's behind every single conversation you have. So now that you know the blueprint exists, what are you going to build with it? Thanks for watching.